Welcome everybody to our Sunday Truth Talk. My name is Jona Bryndis. I'm your Living True Self Radio. I'm an energy healer and energy therapist. And today I want to talk about something thought-provoking, namely how you are wasting your life force. So I would like to talk to you about what life and life force is. And of course, we're going to illuminate some of these big questions in life. What is purpose and why did we even come here? And, well, who am I, maybe? But for the most part, I would like to illuminate the energetic perspective on what this actually is that makes you alive and how you can better express it without unconsciously wasting your life force. So thank you guys for tuning in. Let me know where you guys are from. It's always a pleasure. I look forward to these truth talks every week because I can't wait to see your responses. So please feel free to ask questions or to comment here. And I try to engage you as much as I can. So what is life force? Okay. How do we know that we are alive? How do we know that we are not just some bag of meat, like a breathing and pooping machine, okay, that gets dropped here on this planet to, live a life in misery, in struggle? Who of you overall perceives their life as struggle? It's probably most of us. I did for the most part of my life, considering that I'm 53 now, so the most part of my life would be 35 years of my life were literally determined by believing that life is a struggle and that I have to fight against it and that I have to, seek something that can give me the edge. And this is probably where all of us get stuck a little bit, depending on our age group. So I'm talking to you guys here, of course, not knowing where you guys are and how old you are and what phase of life you're in. But the main thing to understand about life really is that it has rhythms and it has stages. And obviously, when we are younger, there are a lot of things that we don't know yet and a lot of things that we haven't experienced yet. And so we have to kind of accept the fact that things are always changing and that we are maturing into our life, all right? And the big question that we all ask ourselves right from the beginning really is, what is it that we're here for? Okay, and here I want you guys to understand sort of one of those non-brainers, one of those metaphysical or spiritual non-brainers, and that is, you didn't just get dropped here to live your life, till the very end, or for us here as a community to kill each other or to, undo life. That is not the purpose. That is a very important insight, that we understand that, just sort of surviving our life is not the purpose. I cannot prove this to you, obviously, but there wasn't any reason, and there is no indication in nature that a species or, a living being has no impact on the existing world as a whole, has no impact on others, has no meaning whatsoever. Everything in nature points at we all play a big part in something greater, and that there is a purpose for each and every one of us, a destiny, if you will, that through us making specific choices leads us into a higher or lower expression of that which we came here for. The problem is that at birth we kind of lose that connection with why we came here for, and therefore we spend most of our life seeking. All right, we want to arrive somewhere, and the struggle that we perceive, the drama, the crises that we perceive, they have a lot to do with us either resisting what we feel as an inner calling, as an inner sort of drive to go into this direction, or checking out altogether, opting out altogether. I see you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. So why is this such a struggle? Okay, so what is the struggle here? Let's look at this a little deeper, okay? We all go through these evolutionary stages. We've already identified this. We already know this. This is a sort of developmental psychology and anatomy and so forth. We go through these stages in order to what? In order to get to a place of optimal, highest expression of what we can bring into this world. So life force here, the subject of today's Truth Talk, comes in as basically the energy in you that allows you to bring this into expression, right? The quality of our life force, and this is where most of us experience the struggle, depends on our awareness, our awareness about our life force. And that then allows us to discernment of truth. We talk a lot about this here on this channel, and the power to express, but also the choosing what we use our life force for. Okay, and I want you guys to understand one thing, that even if you don't believe in conspiracy theories, or that there's some kind of greater forces out there that fight over your soul, all right, you don't have to have any kind of religious context for this. You just got to understand one thing. If it so were that we just came here as a sort of a bag of meat, okay, like this materialized 3D, sort of solid particle, and our only purpose was to metabolize here and create some kind of carbon footprint, all right, then there wouldn't be so much war. There wouldn't be so much conflict in this world. Because even if it was just sort of on an animalistic level, about territory and resources, that doesn't justify why there is so much manipulation and deception going on. And this is probably why so many of you give up. Because you see this enormous amount of resistance that is coming in from the outside, that is sort of bombarding us and pushing against us bringing our life into expression. Have you ever asked yourself why? Because there's more to you. You are not just a body that happens to have something like a soul, depending on your belief system. You are a generator of life force. You are a generator of thought, a generator of context, a generator of choice. You are a transmitter, a very important one in this. Even though we have 7 billion people on this planet, we all produce life force, and we are all a big and important part of this evolutionary process here that is called improvement, that is called maturing, that is called growing into your higher expression as a human. So we as this collective here on this planet, each and every one of us contributes to our collective evolution. And there are these beautiful things that we can experience, due to this life force that permeates through us, all right? That of course, have different layers here and also different qualities. But there's more to us than just this 3D-ness and the sensuality and the joy of being alive that comes with this. We are actually contributing to the overall consciousness of the collective here, of the entire planet. And the planet is part of this collective, all right? We are all together a huge living being that came here to fulfill our promise to this just source of life force, okay? To bring this into the highest expression. But what happens when our life is a struggle, and when we constantly get distracted by dramas and by crises, and when everything seems to be working against us? And why do you guys think that there are so many resistances to our life? What do you guys think is the number one problem with what I've just said? What is the number one problem inside of us that is holding us back from recognizing the purpose that we have and the destiny that comes with it, the quest that we're here for? What do you guys think that is? Where does all the drama come from? How does it come that it's so hard for us? Fear? Yeah, that's a big one. What else? What else is in your personal experience holding us back? Fear of what? What are we afraid of? Well, one thing is for sure, and this is directly linked with the expression of our life force, we're fear of death. We're fear of, so we're afraid of, that everything comes to an end at some point. But we're also afraid, and this is a major aspect here of, why we then choose to not fulfill our promise, of not having any meaning whatsoever, of just being here for, as an organism that kind of just consumes. The fear of being judged, the fear of the unknown. Okay, here are more qualities that are coming in that have to do with the way we perform, right? And the way we see ourselves in this and what we can do, right? If I told you, well, your only job really is to bring your life force into expression, carpe diem, all right, live your life and enjoy your life, you wouldn't have these kind of thoughts. You wouldn't have these kind of fears, right? You would know what to do and you would follow your impulses to do this. And we all, to a degree, do this in form of our animalistic sort of drive, all right? So the drive to procreate, the drive to succeed, and so forth. Those are all things that come from this pre-programmed genetic input that we have and the conditioning that we received and in these, like say, first 20 years of our lives. That is the drive, okay? We can't help it, but for as long as we are alive, we're going to feel a drive. But how, the quality, how it expresses depends on other factors. Because how come that so many of us feel completely numb, feel lost all the time, feel anxious, in fear, depressed, exhausted, conflicted, even blocked inside? Why do we try to avoid this expression of life? Why do we seek constantly? Why do we want to check out? Why are we so afraid of regrets? Do you guys understand why you're feeling this way? Because you're missing the point. You're looking in the wrong direction because you are resisting your own purpose. Every drama, every crisis, every confliction as in the opposite of peace, all right? Not just in the sense of world peace, but in the sense of inner peace, comes from resisting life, resisting the evolutionary path that you were set on, okay? And then there are forces there, and this is obviously, part of these concerns that we should have right now, that we can only really understand in its depth when we understand the purpose of life and when we understand where we are wasting and where we are giving away our life force. And that is, this reductionism, okay, and relativism of just being sort of a piece of material, just a sort of a biological organism that, maybe we can see how we are all playing together here with other organisms, but that's about it. A lifeless, sort of choiceless, purposeless body, okay, an ant, in a huge ant pile. Why do we not see that our own life force is basically what drives the whole thing, is part of the source? Why can we not see that we are the source of life force? I can tell you one thing, the part that is concerning is that the dark forces know that. So whatever you consider to be the dark forces or powers to be, or, whatever sort of the current conspiracy theory is that you believe in, okay, they know this. And this is why there is war out there, guys. This is why there is, this fight against, or between the dark and the light. It's not about, who wins. No, this is about harvesting your life force and how easy it is to harvest your life force when you are not aware what your life force is and what it's for. And this is why I want to talk to you guys about this today, because the best way to protect yourself from, sort of unconsciously being harvested, so to speak, from being sucked dry, from trying to avoid your life, is to recognize, first of all, where you are wasting this life force, but is to understand that pretty much most of the things that we are exposed to here in our collective right now is geared towards not making you see this. So this is why we have this huge confusion in us, that we don't understand what life is for, because we take all the things that are being displayed, that are being presented to us here, in form of values, in form of how one is supposed to do things, and what the purpose of our life is, how we need to succeed, who we need to be, and so forth. All this is just there to distract you from finding out one thing. And that is that this life force that is going through you, that is going through your body, that is expressing through your emotions, your thoughts, your actions, your interactions with others, your spiritual context, the belief systems that you have, and also your energetic awareness. What this means. It means that you are a co-creator and that you can change things. But for as long as I am keeping you busy, right, with thinking about purpose and, not knowing what this is for, and I keep you in this confliction, and I let you believe that you have no purpose and that you are, just a little grain of sand, all right? You cannot discover the secret of life, namely that you have a choice and that your expression of your life force is what drives the universe, is what creates all this sentient life here. And how come we have 7 billion people, all right, 98% being completely numb and unaware of their life force? Because we need more and more people to maintain all this, because they have already bought into the idea that they are just sort of machines. So this is where the concerns come from here in regards to the future, or quantum future, as I called it last week, the transhumanism of this, the replacement, or the illusion that we could replace our life force through computers or through any kind of interfaces, augmented or virtual realities, okay, is something that really, really needs to concern you. Not because it will ever succeed in doing this. No, but it creates the illusion in you, okay, that you are replaceable. And so all your fears, the fears of, having no meaning or being judged, or the fear of the unknown and whatnot, all that is now being sort of pulled out of you. And this is the reason why we feel so empty. This is the reason why we are so susceptible. And I want to just point out here that you as a being are not just physical, and you're not just your emotions, and not just your thoughts, and not just your relationships, and not just your spiritual beliefs, and not just, some of the etheric or energetic codes that you have. You are more. You are life itself. You are creation itself. A lot of times I refer to this as your I am presence, all right, to recognize that you are the expression, the holographic expression of creation itself, all right? And so we all have this divinity in us, this God in us, so to speak, without sort of taking off with our ego and thinking that, well, the world is just my virtual reality. That is not the case. There is, of course, a replication of things, and we can clearly see this in things such as life cycles, seasons, rhythms, the cycles of life. There are, times and spaces for certain things here on the 3D level. And this is part of, this evolutionary drive, because through these constant evolutions, all right, things mature, they improve, they become better at expressing this I am, this divinity that is inherent in all of us. So where do we make the mistake here? Where are we wasting this unknowingly? Okay, how do we get deceived into all these things that throw us into inner confliction and exhaustion and wanting to check out? What are the 12 most common energy wasters? What are the things that we do where we waste our life force away, regardless of where you think it's going and who is harvesting it, but somebody is harvesting it because it's got to go somewhere, okay? What are these 12 most common energy wasters? So number one, and this is the part here that I've addressed by talking about, our unawareness and not being conscious of this, is this aimlessness that we have. All right, so just like really coming into this world and being at a loss about why we came here. And the next best thing is, of course, to look at how other people do this, how the world basically tells us to do this. Is a form of externalization. And the only way to counteract that is to actually go back inwards, and see life as an inside job and not an outside job, all right? And to really dedicate and devote ourselves to being with ourselves. So this is the aimlessness that we have is because we've been made to believe that we express ourselves through our doingness. And with this little monologue here in the beginning, I was trying to point out that being a human being, all right, expresses through beingness and not through doingness. And this is a wisdom that we can only tap into if we actually begin to consciously experience what our beingness is. So the number one energy waster, okay, life force waster that we all engage in, okay, is to look on the outside and forget that we can best become aware and consequently bring our life force into expression if we go within and if we experience it from within and not from the outside. This is where a lot of our confliction comes from. Number two is the distractibility that comes through this, and this has is a direct consequence of not recognizing that life is an inside job, all right? Because we all standing basically sort of slightly next to ourselves. We're not inhabiting our own energy body. We're leaving all windows and doors open. We don't know how to center. We don't know how to ground ourselves. We don't know how to make a stance for ourselves, how to claim, this life force, okay? And basically inviting other people, other energies in. Okay, so this is something that can only be counteracted really with learning the mechanics of energy awareness. So to really understand that you're not just a body, you're not just like a computer program, okay? You have a lot more tools that allow you to, improve, say, the effectiveness of dealing with your own life force. Okay, so energy awareness is something that we can intuitively develop. Most of us here in this audience are energetically sensitives or even empaths, so we were kind of thrown into this and had to become more aware of energies, but still many people are completely at a loss when it comes to understanding what energy bodies and these energy centers and so forth, what these are there for. Okay, so in order to not be so distractible, okay, where sort of we run through life something that is just being pushed and pulled by outer things, where we know who we are, okay, requires us. And I always almost want to go as far as saying, Nikki, if you are an empath, if you are energetically sensitive, it's vital, it's instrumental, because if you don't educate yourself in your energy awareness and don't improve that, you have very, very big problems in interacting with others and in sort of finding fulfillment in your relationships, which then basically perpetuates the problem and makes it worse for you, because it's even harder to see purpose if you are feeling alone, if you are feeling isolated from everybody else. Number 3 life force waster that we all engage in is this openness for drama, is this drive. This comes from our animalistic drive, wanting to have something that awakes something in us, the thrill, like adrenaline seeking stuff, or the drama of a heartbreak, or the drama of injustice, or the drama of victimhood, being victimized, the drama of being deceived. Okay, those are all things, guys, that lead to you energizing something that is sucking your life force out of you, really. So whether it is drama of other people or your own drama, okay, doesn't matter. Most of this has to do with, and this might be hard to understand here how I get there, but it has to do with your own past. It has to do with your own traumas and your own, unresolved, unhealed inner aspects. And the reason why it feels kind of satisfying to jump on other dramas, outer dramas, is because it somehow makes us feel better about ourselves. Sometimes it's through commiserating, sometimes it's through superiority, like all these soap operas, live shows, and so forth, that really show, the utter despair or victimhood, injustice of people. All right, it makes us feel like, thank God it's not me. My life is better. Okay, so that's an illusion. That's how you are being basically coerced into donating your energy to other people's dramas. Okay, not really going within. So the counteraction for that is to actually focus your life around self-healing, reconciling with all these unresolved aspects in your life, recognizing how important it is, to be okay with your past and to let go of it and to not hold on to all these things. So as soon as you awaken to your inner self-healer, all right, you begin to see all these blocks and blind spots, all right? And this is then what I call truth training, all right, where you also begin to discern the truth of certain things, within yourself. All right, the fear of punishment, the fear of making mistakes, the fear of not being good enough. Guys, what is that? That's all related to your past. It's some kind of painful or embarrassing or shameful or, fearful experience that you had in the past, all right, that you're trying to avoid. And this is then what makes you basically donate your life force to other outer drama and crisis, or even, continued repeated drama in your life, not realizing how this is just producing more drama in your life, more struggle. Then number 4, energy waste, or how we waste our life force, is waiting for something to happen. Or kind of feeling where this needs to go, but not feeling ready. Who of you noticed that you've got caught in a pattern of waiting? Waiting. This is another thing that we basically got programmed with, all right? Because when we wait, we put our energy on hold, and quite frankly, it's very, very exhausting to put our energy on hold, because this evolutionary creative, co-creative power that is in us really wants to go forward. But when we put a lid on it, okay, when we don't express who we truly are, when we get caught in our fear of being punished, or fear of making mistakes, all right, what we're really doing is giving up our right to be self-responsible, giving up our right to claim what is ours. We're giving up choice. All right. Number 5, how we waste our life force, and this might be a little difficult here to understand with your mind, because you have to feel this, and those of you who are feeling this know what I'm referring to is depression. Is the perpetuation of putting a lid on things, depressing, all right, suppressing, repressing, okay, is feeling this enormous push on you that comes from this unexpressed life force in you, which makes you want to opt out. It's overwhelming. You waking up, but you don't want to get out of bed. You're waking up in a state of like, overwhelmed already. Can you guys relate to that? What that's like? Yes, thank you for your hearts and for your thumbs up. It's a huge energy waster, guys. And the only way to counteract this is to learn about your own authenticity, is to become a true self, to connect with who you are, and that you have a choice, and that you can, pick the things that you want to energize. Depression is the consequence of all these prior stages of wasting our life force, because we now no longer feel the power to even do anything about it. And it begins to really drain our physical energy too. So when I said waking up but not getting up, I meant this obviously in a physical sense, but also in an overall energetic sense. Okay, when it comes to spiritual awakening, for instance, we talked a lot about wokeness and awakeness here a couple of weeks ago. It's not enough to just awake to all these things. It's not enough to just say, oh, I see the truth, but then not to follow through. We need, in order to bring our life force into expression, all right, we need to actually do this. Okay, we need to walk the talk. We need to walk the walk. And if we don't have the energy to walk the walk, all right, that means something ain't right. That means your energy is poofing away somewhere, or you're donating it, or you're letting yourself be harvested, or, of course, also, not wanting to see truth. So the connecting with your own truth and training to stay and live in truth, okay, is very, very important for you to feel adequate, for you to feel some kind of competency that you can actually live your life. Spiritually, physically, emotionally, on a relationship level, on all of these levels, guys. So it's very important that when you wake up, that you get up. Yes, and coaching and so forth helps you to develop a sort of a plan, a strategy, have routines and so forth. Yes, this works, but it's not the point. The point is that we all came here to wake up fresh, renewed, energized, excited about the day to come, excited to bring all this sort of into, this big old, sort of life force, that wants to just be lived. Okay. So number 6 energy waster then is the anxiety that comes with not doing that, the fear, or the worrying more about things than actually trying things, right? Because if we wake up overwhelmed already, well, that is not very motivating, right? We get caught in, oh my God, what if I make a mistake? What if I don't do it right? What if I make a livestock out of me? What if I don't do harm to other people? What if others do harm to me? What if I die? We're wasting our life force by thinking and worrying and ruminating too much about things that we cannot control. And to counteract this, is really, the combination now of the things that I've already mentioned, a good amount of truth training, like being able to see truth and accept and actually allowing truth, being realistic to a certain degree, but also having the ability to discern truth and knowing who you are and really standing in your center and really inhabiting your own life. Okay, most people really fail on doing these fundamental things of really standing in the center of their own being. And therefore anxiety, is what drives us then to develop this false self persona, like who we think we need to be, or who we think others want us to be, or what we believe we must do or should do. The false self. And the false self is what ultimately creates the anxiety in you, because it's not authentic. Okay, it drives your energy nuts, because you constantly have to push energy into maintaining a certain status quo, or keeping it up. All right, and this is why you feel overwhelmed, because you're trying to keep up with something that you're not. As simple as that. And that leads to energy waster number 7, perfection, idealization, thinking that it has to do perfect. It has to be in a certain way, all or nothing. All right, and that's why I'm spending all my energy on planning things out, on trying to control them so that I feel I can master them. All right, and I spend more time on planning than on actually doing, than on actually exploring, than on actually going out there and making the necessary experiences that can make us become more resilient, more energetic, more mature. So you see, anxiety and perfection, they both come from some idealized version of ourselves, that is fed by the ego. And the ego is being fed by, obviously some of the karmic family stuff, the country, the nation, collective, stuff, sociology, and all the energetic implants that we already have here just through, being part of this collective, sort of this matrix that we all kind of donate our energy to, right? We are constantly fed with ideas that, point into we have to improve, we have to be better in order to succeed. Preferably, we have to be better than others. Okay, we have to maybe take things away from others in order to get that. Or, last but not least, we have to undo ourselves, okay, to be somebody, who can be perfect, who can succeed. So you see, this is getting more and more complex now, right? The collective implants are the ones that you need to be worried about, because they, even though many of you already have a high level of consciousness or degree of awareness here, you get pulled back into it. There's a constant push-pull, okay? Even with the spiritualism and so forth, I'm more spiritual than others, okay? And I'm going the high route, and that's, this is an ego trap, guys, okay? So you're being pulled back into the collective implants that way, just so you know. So number 8, energy waster, and this is then really, consequently, those are the, sort of the things that happen as a result of all the things that we've already talked about, is indecision, the fear of making choices altogether, and getting caught in our own duality, getting caught in our minds, rationalizing everything, trying to find the pros and cons for everything, trying to seek proof for things. Where's the evidence? That where's the guarantee? Where's the guarantee that this will lead to success? All right, this is a form of collective implant or collective programming here that is extremely hard to overcome. All right, because in combination with not feeling our purpose or not being sure what our purpose is, and constantly sort of going back and forth within ourselves, constantly being caught in this feeling of not being good enough, even if we feel something like a calling or a purpose. This our inner duality that constantly sort of requires us to stay in balance, and that constantly sort of pulls us into this inner negativity of our mind and some of the beliefs that we have, okay, the materialism. So the way out here, and this is where most of you guys are, is literally to disrupt all that, to recognize that, oh my God, this is true, this is how I'm wasting my life force, and to become aware of this, through self-reflection, meditation, mindfulness, soulfulness, and recognizing that, gosh, I'm not a body with a soul. I'm a soul with a body. I'm a soul with a body. I did not just come here, to survive my life. There's more to me. And I need to really understand that, my true nature is something that I cannot find or fulfill, for that matter, if I focus on, what the collective sort of pre-choose and regurgitates for me. And the best way to tune into this and counteract this sort of lost soul being in you, okay, is to reorient to nature. And this has nothing to do with going back to source, guys. This has something to do with tuning into this part more, okay, due to your resonance. So if you expose yourself to higher vibratory energy fields, all right, to things that have more life force, to things that express, not just things, obviously, this can be people, places, activities and so forth, that express higher consciousness, that express more life, that express more light and more love, then you won't be able to stop you beginning to feel this again, you beginning to remember this again. So it will bring back the remembrance. This isn't about going somewhere else. This is about you remembering what is in you. Okay? And then number 9, energy waster, is basically the mechanism that goes against that, and that's the escapism, to wanting to check out, or even in a spiritual sense, always seeking the next high. Okay, not really being willing to deal with the inevitability of life, all right, and instead seeking some kind of pleasure, okay, or even if it is the pleasure of meditating and being all spiritual. Okay, there's an ego trap there as well, guys. All right, and really what it does, again, through the back door, prevents you from truly expressing who you are. It does the same thing again. And where this is coming from is from you, still thinking that you are separate from others, that you, are this unique being, all right, that has unique circumstances and a unique story and unique pain and a unique narrative, okay, that separates you from others. And obviously then, the cure for this, the counter activity that we can do is to first of all recognize that we are indeed a part of the the whole here, that we are a part of this, that yes, there are certain stages of our evolution, of our maturing, where we have to go within a little more, with these things that we talked about, with the grounding and self-awareness and discernment of truth and recognizing who we truly are. But this doesn't mean that this is where it ends. This is the mountaintop, guys. This is believing, okay, that, at some point when you enlightened, okay, then you finally out-vibrated life. You finally, can let go of life and don't have to come back. That's a form of escapism. Granted, a higher form of that, but it's really wanting to escape life, really? I mean, this is, go into this no nonsense sort of truth with yourself. Listen to your own narratives, okay? So number 10 then of wasting our life force has a lot to do with, seeing ourselves separate, comparing ourselves with others, thinking that if we can feel superior, well then, we are better equipped for life, while subconsciously still trying to escape life, is to think about what others think of you more than you actually reflecting on your own truth. It's, again, it's a combination of the externalization that we've been programmed with, but also, and I really want to be direct here with you, is your ego's notion that it would stand over God, over creation. Yeah, God put me here. God's ways are mysterious. Yeah, I have a purpose. I don't know. It will unfold as I go. But my ego knows better. I know better. Mm-hmm. Number 11. Again, the consequence out of my ego knows better, ego over God principle, so to speak, is an ego exhaustion. Stress all the time, being tired and emptied of life force all the time, having one crisis after the other, being completely pulled into the misery of existence and the struggle of life, and again on a higher level here, that again resisting life. Some of us have accomplished pretty cool things with our ego over God type of attitude, but then comes the stress to maintain that. How are you now going to keep it that way? So you are going into the next level of resisting life, of resisting change, of resisting evolution. Maybe a part of your purpose is to lose everything so that you can better focus on what you truly came here for. But one thing is for sure, trying to maintain a status quo and pushing all our energy into trying to control everything white-knuckled so that we can feel adequate, so that we can feel in control, so that we can feel, we've accomplished something, is not going to get you there. And that's then, the number 12 energy waster of life force that I see in people, and that is restlessness, seeking for the next thing, seeking to belong, seeking to be better, seeking some kind of higher purpose, but never actually having an outcome. It's like this constant internal stress, all right? Internal and external seeking, with all the dramas and all the distractions and all the stuff that we've talked about, and never actually having an output. Never actually bringing anything into expression, or bringing a lot of things into expression, but that don't fulfill us. This is where fulfillment comes in, and this is where we got to understand that for as long as we are seeking, we are still caught in our ego duality. All right, and one of the ways that I see this often expressed in people's lives is not just the restlessness, but also sleep problems. Either not feeling tired at the end of the day because there is no fulfillment, right? There is no, or not being able to sleep because you're worrying too much about the next day. Sleep problems, obviously chronic physical issues, chronic issues with relationships, feeling powerless and feeling like, you just need to survive your life. Those are all symptoms of wasting your life force, guys. And if you want to counteract yourself bit by bit, falling for these energy wasters, okay, you're gonna have to say stop at some point. You're gonna have to say, all right, okay, this can't be, this makes no sense. So there must be something I'm not seeing. And that is then what we call waking up, okay? But you have to make yourself wake up. And once you wake up, you have to claim your truth. You're going to have to say, you know what? I may not know yet how to do this. I may not have figured this out. And I definitely don't have the fixes for, the things that are imperfect about me. But there's one thing I know for sure. I came here into this life to live my life in conjunction with other people. Yes. So once we figured out, what our life is for, and once we can feel our own aliveness and bring this into expression, we can discover how cool it is to do this with others, and how this multiplies not just my life force, but everybody else's life force. But we have to claim this. We have to understand that this is our choice. And this is the reason why there's so much deception and fake news and matrix programming and all that. Because if we would all claim our right to choose, if we would all claim our own life force, guys, the world would be different. And it will be, because it's not stoppable. Evolution cannot be stopped. Wasting your life force, in essence, is resisting change, resisting evolution. Nothing ever stays the same, guys. And the only part in us that wants things to stay the same, aware or unaware, is our ego. So with this, guys, this was a lot of talking, and you're all super quiet today. I want to leave you into your next week, and thank you for coming and for being so patient with me, always getting through the first 5 or 10 minutes here with me, not knowing where this is going to go, right? Tune in, share this material with others, contemplate about it, but also have discussions, guys. Have discussions with other people as part of expressing your life force. Even if it's just by asking. Asking is also a form of discussion. That's a part of expressing your life force. Always ask, what is this for? Why am I doing this? What is my ego getting out of this? Okay. And this way you get a little closer to fully wielding and mastering your own life force. Self-mastery, as we call this. Thank you for listening, guys. Bye-bye.